We're gonna do a wrap-up, a wrap-up. We're gonna do a wrap-up, a wrap-up. Hello there, my name is Mackenzie. Welcome back to my channel and thank you so much for being here. Today we are going to do my April wrap-up. It is hella late because no excuse. I just, didn't want to film, didn't want to do anything, I wanted to play video games and that's what I did. And April was so stressful at work. I was so busy. So I'm not going to feel bad about coming to you late. I'm coming to you at all. So here we go. Here's my little stack of books. This is all that I read physically, but I also read a few books on ebook and then I think an audiobook. Hang on, I wrote down some stats, none of which have anything to do with the medium of which I read these books. So I read 10 and a half books. A half, yes, and I counted a half because I read about half of that book in April and I finished the other half in May. It's around here somewhere. She's not part of this stack though. So 10 and a half books, 4% of those books were already on my physical TBR starting at the beginning of 2022. 2,445 pages, that was weird to say, across 5 different genres, and guess what guys, I loved everything. 7 of these books got 5 stars, and 4 stars I gave to 3 books. Okay, I made it happen. I'm gonna put this down now because it's not that heavy, but I feel a little weak right now. Let's talk about the one book that I am not gonna talk about in this wrap-up. That is All Her Little Secrets by Wanda M. Morris. I will talk about this in May's wrap-up because I did not finish this in April. I do want it to be noted, though, that I did include the amount of pages that I read in this book in April in the April total count. So I think it was about like this many pages. Like it was like half. I did fairly well. So we'll put that to the side until May. Catch her in May. Okay, so as always, we are going to talk about the books in the order in which I finished them, not the order in which I started reading them or the order of rating. Although all of these books I really loved, so like anything here, if it sounds like your cup of tea, I recommend it because I loved everything here. We are going to pull out my handy dandy reading journal with all of its notes stuffed in it, not looking camera ready, but she has all of the ratings. So I'm going to open her up. I do reading journal videos. They are not as great as Katie Colson. She paints. I don't paint. I want to start painting in mine. She has inspired me. Maybe next year. Anyways, let's stay on topic, yeah? So she has all of my ratings in her. I'm going to be going based off of this. So let's go. Okay, the first book that I finished in April is The First 10 Years by Meg Bashwiner and Joseph Fink, subtitled Two Sides of the Same Love Story. So I fully intended on reading this in either very much February. And then I intended to read it in March. And I didn't, and I just pushed it all the way back to April. So you know what? It happened in April. I loved it though. It was so freaking cute. Oh my god, it warmed my heart. So I obviously gave this 5 stars. This is a real life love story. It could get nothing else. Are you kidding me? So this is 10 years of them from when they started dating all the way until like a little bit after they've been married. It was so cute. It was so sweet. This ends in 2019, I think. This was such a cute story. So we're following both sides of the story each year, they each get a chapter to tell their side of what happened that whole year. So some of the chapters are really focused on their career or like them moving in together. The first chapter is about them actually starting dating and all of that. It's so cute and I loved it. And it was just really sweet to see what each of them felt like was the most important parts of each of the years. And sometimes, like I said, they focused on their career and what was happening. And a lot of times Joseph's career was changing a lot of like they would have to move and all of this stuff. So and his chapters would really focus on like his guilt about having to move Meg all over the place, and Meg's chapters would just be about how amazing he was as a partner and how much she just loved him and loved the support that he would give her. And so it was just really interesting to see that like both of them just love each other. It was so cute. It was so cute. I couldn't get over it and I loved it and I smiled the whole way through and it made me laugh and it was so cute. And I listened to this on audiobook while I read it with my eyeballs because they narrated it and it was, oh my god, it was so cute. And they both work as podcasters, so like they kind of do a bit of voice acting anyway, so it was really, really cool. Then I read 2 short stories because I became aware of the fact that Tor puts a lot of their short stories that are published through them on their website. It was amazing to find that out, so I have just been loading up and like bookmarking all of the ones that I want to read. So I've read 2 so far. Actually, I've read 3 so far. The other one I read last month. So I just continued in that vein of short stories. I read The Angel of Khan el-Khalili and The Haunting of Tram Car 015. I gave both of these short stories. They're both by P. Djeli Clark. They're both part of the Dead Djinn universe, and I gave both of these 4 stars. I thought they were so great, and the only reason why I dinged them down was because I just wanted more. I wanted so much more. I felt like a lot of things were just brought up and not explained, but it's all to build hype for the novel, which I'm so excited to read. They were so good. So The Angel of Khan el-Khalili was kind of like more self-contained than the other 2 short stories. The other 2 short stories like connected to each other, but The Angel of Khan el-Khalili really kind of felt like its own self. It does talk about like the angels, like these robotic giant creatures that made their appearance in Dead Djinn in Cairo. Sorry, I'm running out of breath. But they made their appearance in the first short story, and so we have this girl who goes and she's trying to save her sister, and like she has to like sacrifice a truth, and it's so like just like this very like invasive, very like kind of scary moment that we experience with this girl, and like that's it. So like if anything, it did serve to build more of the world around Cairo in 1912, this alternate Cairo, because by the time we get to The Haunting of Tramcar 1015, we understand a lot of the market of Khan el-Khalili being more of like a black market kind of area. And in this one, it had, I would say, more adventure than the Angel story, but it felt less important than a Dead Djinn in Cairo. It was really cool because Fatma from the first story shows up, and she is friends with the, is he a detective? With the guy who's the main character in The Haunting of Tramcar 015. So basically in that one, like there's a disturbance and seems like the tramcar is haunted, and he's called in with his partner to try and like save the day. So good. Definitely recommend it. So easy to get to, and tell me what you think of them when you read them. I loved them. Then I was able to finish the 2 books that were still left in my Folk of the Air series for the reading vlog. I finished The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black and How the King of Elfhame Learned to Hate Stories, also by Holly Black. I have a reading vlog up on my channel currently. I will link it up above in the cards for you, so that way you can see my full thoughts. I gave both of these books a 5-star. I gave that whole series a 5-star. It was amazing. I loved it. It was perfect. And honestly, I want to cry that there's not more to read of them. I'm sad. I need more. There's a hole in my heart. It will never be filled. Save me. Sadness. Oh my god. Don't cry. It's okay. We're moving on. Then I needed to clean the bathroom. I needed to clean the bathroom, and I don't like cleaning the bathroom, so I decided to like mentally space out while I let my body clean the bathroom. Anyways, I put on the audiobook Nothing But Blackened Teeth by Cassandra Khaw because of a few reasons. One, I needed something short and sweet so that way I could finish it in the time that it took me to do the bathroom, and I think that book is like 3 hours long on audio, and I listened to double speed, so an hour and a half for the chores that I was doing. So I did the bathroom and the dishes, and you don't care about that. But I want you to know it was such a wonderful experience. It really felt like a scary movie because of the time frame. So I listened in double speed, so it was an hour and a half. An hour and a half long movie is like a perfect length of movie, especially for like scary movie, thriller, horror, like, it was a great experience. So that was one reason. And two, I am trying to read all of the books that Tor Nightfire has published under themselves up to date. Did that make any sense? I'm trying to read all of those books. This story is about a group of friends that that go to this like haunted palace in Japan, and they go there under the guise of like they're doing like a bridal shower, like, you know, last hurrah, but it ends up really being like they go to get married there, and like their friends are there as witnesses. That's quote unquote friends because as you read it you realize like not everybody has like a kosher relationship with everybody else, and that leads into all of the storyline, and it's real creepy, you guys. So the palace that they go to is basically like built on the bones of women who were left at the altar, basically. It's all kinds of rough and like really scary. Like that's what really made it so great, is that it felt like a scary movie. It was tension and like the unveiling very quickly of how all of these characters are not really the great people that you may think that they are at the beginning, and then like here's all this scary stuff and let's just keep going, and it just keeps on crescendoing, and then we fall down, and it's like a perfect roller coaster of a ride. It was so good. What did I give it as a star rating? I gave this a 4-star. It felt like it was not doing as much as it needed to obtain that like super special 5-star, but it did kind of remind me a little bit of like Cabin in the Woods, not in the sense that there was like people who were setting it up, but it did feel very much like one of the things that the people from the Cabin in the Woods would have set up. It just felt like it happened really fast and then it was over, and then, you know, whatever, now we're done. It didn't have any kind of like lingering effects with me, which is really what it would have pushed it into a 5-star. And then I started the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin for a few reasons. So first I started it, one, because I wanted to do a Broken Earth reading vlog, but I don't think that is going to happen. It's not happening anymore, mainly because this is taking me a lot longer than I thought to get through the series. And this book was so hard. This book was traumatic. This is a lot of like content warnings for like child abuse and child death and like parental abuse, and just like it was all kinds of like, and like there was cult stuff and like watching someone be indoctrinated, and it was rough. It was rough. But it was really, really good. So I am continuing reading the trilogy. I also read the second one in April, and I'm going to read the third one in May, hopefully. I couldn't do the reading vlog because I couldn't get it out in time for you guys. But I do think what I'm going to do is after I read all 3 of the books, I'm kind of going to do like a spoiler talk so we can go into depth about the other books, because these are really good, and it does so much to be a fantastical story, but also to talk about class and racism and like what humans do to each other, and like the horrible things that we can do to each other. And it's amazing. It's tragic. It's beautiful. It's amazing. In this one, we have 3 perspectives, and you're kind of just thrown into them. There is one perspective that is in second person, and I think that now that I'm in book 3, I understand why it's in second person, but I'm not in the same bandwagon with other people saying that I was thrown off by it. I felt like it was a little bit different, but it was good because it did something to distance and pull closer that character. It was something that kind of made her feel not entirely there within her own self. Like she's having to dissociate from her reality because her reality is really, really tough right now. And at the end of this story, when you understand how all three of the perspectives come together, you really realize like how bad the moment has to be for her to be dissociating at this time. So it was really cool, really great, very traumatic, really hard. I gave this 5 stars because obviously N.K. Jemisin, I already read The City We Became, which is getting a second book, by the way, and I'm very excited about it. This one was very different in like I didn't expect all of the content that was happening. It was very, very dark, but it was good. It was really good. This is a great story. This is a great start to a story, and I can't wait to finish it. And then I also followed that up with Ring Shout by P. Djeli Clark. After reading the other 3 short stories that I've read by him, I figured why not read the other short story that he had coming out. So this one is kind of like an alternate history horror, where there are like the KKK that were just human, but then there were also Ku Kluxes that were monsters, and then there was these group of people that were fighting the actual monsters. I gave this one obviously a 5 star. I felt like this one was so badass. So we are following, I believe it's 3 women, and they are just fighting these Ku Kluxes and living their life, and oh, they were so badass. Like, it was just so cool. I don't want to tell you too much because obviously it's a short story, but it was so good. I loved it. I could take more. I would love more. But I also felt like the world was developed enough for me to not need more to feel like it was complete, as opposed to the Djinn short stories that did feel like I needed more to make these ones complete. Ring Shout stands on its own, which was really good, which pushed it into being a 5 star. Loved it. Oof. And then I read Velvet Was the Night by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. I love this cover. I love this author. I love this reading experience. Let's talk real quick, okay? Okay. So, 1, there is a playlist. It is available on Spotify, and I listen to it every single day. Also, there is an afterword, which if you do not know the history of 1970s Mexican government and politics, then you should read this beforeword. You should read this before you read the story. Or you can read the story, but you also have to read the afterword, because the afterword makes everything else make sense. So if you want everything to make sense before the story or after the story, is when you should read that afterward. But you need to read it if you don't understand the politics. Hello, ow. Because the politics of 1970s Mexico really plays a role in the story and the telling of this story, more so than any of her other stories. Like in The Beautiful Ones, that one takes place in the 20s, so like it's a little bit like you kind of get this vague understanding of balls and debutantes and all of that kind of stuff. Certain Dark Things takes place in an alternate universe. We have Gods of Jade and Shadow, which takes place like super long ago. You don't really need too much of the feeling of the time, as opposed to just like how old the cars are, how old the fashion is, that kind of stuff. And then Mexican Gothic, same thing. Mexican Gothic kind of really heavily relies on like social cues of the time, but for this is like real life 70s politics, and like, damn. So this is definitely a noir. This is a noir story following 2 perspectives, which was really cool. We are following the perspective of Maite, who is just like a regular old Joel Schmoel. Like a Joe Schmo. She's really involved in the secret romance comic books. She really likes music. She's a vinyl collector. She really enjoys that. And in 1970s, that's actually like, in the 70s, Mexico was very heavily anti-communist, and so listening to records and reading books was seen as being kind of communist, and that was seen as being a bad thing. And then we are also following someone else whose name is Elvis, and he is associated with a gang called the Hawks. Now, the Hawks is a real thing that happened, and in 1970s Mexico, they denied that the Hawks were a thing, and then recent records were released stating that they were a thing in everything that happened in Mexico. There's an event that takes place at the very beginning of this book that was a real event that the government tried to deny happened, and it's kind of the cataclysm for everything that happens in the book. There's also this girl, Lenora, who goes missing, which is kind of how Maite and Elvis's stories connect. And oh my god, my heart. Okay. I understand why this book was told around the story of what happened in 1970s Mexico and the political parties and the communist stuff and everything else, because that's very, very important. However, and also, I could have taken another story after this, a sequel that is just focused on Elvis and Maite. I can't even tell you. It's like my favorite scene, and I can't even tell you because I want you to experience it because it was so good. Oh my god. I just can't. It was like 30 pages into the book that I realized that there was a playlist, and in the book it tells you when to play the songs in the playlist, you guys. I was dying. I'm dead. It's perfect. It's amazing. I want to cry talking about it. You guys. And then I was able to get to the second book in the Broken Earth trilogy, the Obelisk Gate. So this one, it's really interesting how a lot of fantasy and sci-fi take the form of like the same kind of plot line when there's multiple books in the story. So the first one is always like info dumpy and kind of like a little bit different than what the rest of the series is going to be, because they're trying to get you used to the world, and it's kind of not as involved in the politics as you think it might be. And then in the second book, it like rips it all open, and it's like, here's all the politics, and here's where our characters lie, and this is what we're trying to go after, and here's the rebellion, and here's the human rights violations that are happening everywhere. And like, guys, it was so good. Gosh, what did I give this? Another 5-star? This was another 5-star for me. It was perfect. We get 3 perspectives. Again, it is different than the 3 perspectives we got in the first book. However, I feel like all of these perspectives are wonderful. And then, you guys, I'll tell you in my spoiler talk because I can't talk too much here, but this is just really great. It's amazing. It's wonderful. Reveals continue to happen. Revelations about the world and about things and about like everything. Like, it's so great. It's so amazing. And I can't even tell you here, but it was wonderful. So I've had like literally probably the best reading month that I've had in a very, very long time. And I'm really happy about it. And I just like I'm just feeling a tad unstoppable, you know? So we're going into May with the highest of expectations, and you know, cheers to us. Tell me about your reading month down in the comments below. Was it a good reading month, a bad reading month? What did you read? What was your favorite? What was your least favorite? What was a surprise, a disappointment? Tell me all your woes in the comments, and I will see you in the next one. I didn't do the rest of the outro, but I hope you have a good day, and I hope to see you in the next one. Okay, bye!